spent 2 years as a vegan. And I ended up being away from that after having my grandmother make me food, not knowing I was vegan, and putting me in a pressure where it was like this favorite food from ever.
Kind of family pressure.
Yeah. And I broke, and I never went back. But to me, it's about making sure the animals are fully used if you're going to go that route.
Right.
The humanity, being as humane as you can, because it's going to happen, unfortunately.
I wonder if we're thinking about like kind of three options. If we could contribute to an animal who was exploited in a factory farm, treated very inhumanely, or we could choose to contribute to an animal being used in a nice farm where it's more humane, they're not being maybe abused as much, or we could contribute to no animals being used. What do you think is most fair from the animal's perspective?
I'd say the option with the absolutely probably not being slaughtered at the end. Not being taken into the mysterious door to heaven.
Okay, I'll have you stand right here.
All right.
Okay, what is your name?
John.
I'm Cooper. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We're talking to people about animals today.
Okay.
What's your opinion on animals?
I like animals.
I've
had pets.
You've had pets, yeah.
I'm an animal lover at school, for the most part.
With your experiences with cats and dogs, what does it teach you about their capacities or their consciousness?
Well, they're conscious. They're aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder, do you think there's a difference between, say, a dog and a fish or a cow in their ability to be conscious or their ability to feel pain?
No.
Do you think there's... I wonder, do you think there's anything that us humans need from other animals in 2026? Or do we live in an era of alternatives?
We live in an era of alternatives, absolutely. I think it's tough, though. I mean, when I was in college, I spent 2 years as a vegan. And I ended up being away from that after having my grandmother make me food, not knowing I was vegan, and putting me in a pressure where it was like this favorite food from ever.
Kind of family pressure.
Yeah. And I broke, and I never went back. But to me, it's about making sure the animals are fully used if you're going to go that route.
Right.
The humanity, being as humane as you can, because it's going to happen, unfortunately.
I wonder if we're thinking about like kind of three options. If we could contribute to an animal who was exploited in a factory farm, treated very inhumanely, or we could choose to contribute to an animal being used in a nice farm where it's more humane, they're not being maybe abused as much, or we could contribute to no animals being used. What do you think is most fair from the animal's perspective?
I'd say the option with the absolutely probably not being slaughtered at the end. Not being taken into the mysterious door to heaven.
Yeah. So I wonder, when you reflect on your own principles and you know that these animals suffer and you know that we have an alternative, do you think it's fair for us humans to use them?
Oh, that's tough.
What do you think?
I'm going to go back to I don't think it's out of nature to do it. Terry Pratchett, British author, had a part where he discussed humans and the humanity, and and he discussed the nature, and he kind of discussed watching a bear eat a fish and all its babies, and going, hey, humans aren't much different. We're still part of that natural cycle, unfortunately. Now, do we need to absolutely do that? No, probably not. But.
Right. I wonder, do you see a distinction in the circumstance that the bear finds themselves in? They're trying to survive.
Right? We don't need to eat meat in our current society.
Right.
Understood. Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
I wonder, there's so many misconceptions in society, but what have you heard about veganism? I know you tried, it sounds like you tried veganism earlier in life, but kind of veered away. But what would you define it as?
At that time, I was doing absolutely nothing to harm animals. I mean, no leather, obviously no food, no eggs, no.
Would you go to places like zoos? Did you address the entertainment aspects and the animal testing?
Did, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not one to wear makeup or deal with anything with the fashion industry as
Same
a whole.
Same with me, yeah.
As far as zoos, it really depends. if I go, one of the things I gotta say about our local zoo is I like the fact they're widening and opening the area and dealing with making sure that there's an area for endangered species to live and try to make them thrive. Yes. Do I like the concrete 10-foot by 10-foot cell that drives creatures nuts? No, I don't.
I wonder if you found out that the Oregon Zoo, like that specific zoo, that they had killed animals who weren't sick or they weren't suffering to the point of needing euthanasia, but they were killed because they weren't as profitable as perhaps a baby being placed in the zoo. Would you think that that is unfair if they were killing the models who were less profitable?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I wonder what would be your biggest obstacle to taking another go at it and saying, this is in alignment with my principles. I'm going to start eating plants tomorrow and see where it takes me. What stops you?
Money.
Oh, money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't try to eat beef right now. But
it's interesting.
When it comes to, my family, I mean, I have my daughter here, but I'm also mixed family with a Filipino family. And I would say, we have 7 children as a whole between everybody. And, feeding that many people on just a vegan diet would become very rough, and especially with the age differences and everything. You want to make sure everybody's getting enough protein. So, one of the things we rely on a lot is eggs. So it's not necessarily meats, but it's the eggs and the peripherals to get the protein. And we can do the rice and beans, but also when they go back home, even those become a lot more restricted, like you can find when you're in Weepa City,
I wonder if you found out that there was, an affordable way to make it happen, and it was maybe actually it would save you money in your grocery bill. I only ask you because that was my personal experience. Yeah. Because there was a study done recently by Oxford University, and it demonstrated that plant-only diets that focus on foods like potatoes, lentils, beans, rice, grains, local fruit, veg, they found it was 30% more affordable than the omnivore options. I just wonder if you saw that evidence, and if you found that to be the case, you would be interested?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'll ask you a couple questions before I wrap up, and then I'll hand you a resource card that gives you some of that information.
Yeah.
How many animals, when you think about your own ethical system, how many animals would you prefer are used, exploited, and killed for you in the future?
Ooh. In a perfect world, none.
0, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I had to be fair. Yeah. Yep.
Do you acknowledge that?
Oh yeah, you have the quote up.
What is the quote?
Loud and proud.
I can read it too if you're nervous.
It's from George Orwell.
Oh.
Man is the only creature that consumes without producing. He does not give milk. He does not lay eggs. He is weak to pull the plow. He cannot run fast enough to catch the rabbits, yet is lord of all the animals. He sets them to work. He gives back to them the bare minimum that will prevent them from starving, and the rest he keeps from himself from Animal Farm.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Did anything come to mind when you read it that you want to share? No pressure.
Exploitation of the animals. I mean, that's what Animal Farm was about. That's why they started Animal Farm. It's about more than that, obviously. I mean, obviously that was a powerless. If you look, I didn't think about Orwell.
All right. So I'll wrap it up with the last one.
Sorry.
Continue. What were you reading?
I've just been reading a lot of Orwell, and so the questions been asked have brought that Animal Farm up.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of powerful information to be gained from reading that type of author. I wonder, you acknowledge that 0 animals would be your ideal for the future. Do you acknowledge that going vegan is in alignment with that principle?
I do, 100%. I mean, it's tough because, I deal with this because ever since I switched back, I've always had to deal with this.
You've been it's kind of in the back of your head
always.
A little bit, right?
It's funny because, I hate to see any animal die. There's a reason I don't have fish. I couldn't even stand the fact that my fish died. It was 50% of fish couldn't survive overnight. Yeah. When you put them in a new tank, I was like, I can't do it. So, it's been hard to reconcile.
Yeah. Okay. One more.
Yeah.
Do you think it's fair? Because you're obviously somebody who's very compassionate and you're thinking about these things. And I don't expect that from every person that walks by. If we can't expect people like you to make the change, then who will? You don't necessarily have to answer. I'm just going to leave you with that.
No,
and I'm going to hand you a card.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. I really appreciate both of you stopping by.
Yeah.
You were so enlightening with your quote. And you're so open-minded. I appreciate both of you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It was nice to meet you.
This is our card here. I'm going to show you
perfect.
this side. It's antianimaluse.org.
Yeah.
And on here, there's a button on the website, if you go to it, that says "See What You Fund."
Yeah.
And it can kind of help bring that to the forefront in your brain again. You know,
Okay.
what these animals are going through, just so you can make that connection and decide if you want to continue contributing to it or make another choice.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Wait. I'm awkward. Don't mind me. Thank you. Have a good day.